I don't know. This really feels like it's going to be a rewatch situation trying to figure out, which I'm even more pissed about now, knowing how much of this is recap. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone-Faced Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another Gundam Seed Destiny. We're over on the hump, I hope, because the next time on looked pretty promising. So yes. I'm hoping that's what we're going for here. We are in our new format, which is to say, start with the board, go to the thoughts, then into the comments. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the board, where I, of course, have my board changelog. Instead of just waiting for Lessons to figure out what changed.
At least I know one character is very much dead.
Well, I'm going to go down the list here. I added Martin DaCosta because he was on the bridge of the ship that Lacus went to, I noticed.
Yeah.
Connected Martin to Waltfield and Lacus with a green line. I turned the green line connecting Stella to Phantom Pain white, because, they tossed her to the wind, essentially. Turned the white line connecting Stella to Shin green. I added Mir's bodyguard. I connected Mir's bodyguard to Mir with a green line to Mir. I added Amagi. Connected Amagi to Tadaka with a green line. Connected Amagi to Yuna with a white line. Connected Tadaka to Yuna with a green line, which I probably should have done before. Connected Ha to the green line of the Archangel crew. Yes. Marked Baba as dead. Marked Todaka as dead. Marked Owl Nider as dead. Turned the white line connecting Shin to Kigali red. Turned the white line connecting Shin to Kira red. Connected Neo to Gibral with a green line, which again, should have done before. But that is the changes to the board. I should, as I've been doing in some of my solo series, add a link to like an imager of this, so that people can actually look at this in depth if they want to on their own time, instead of the smaller image that's beneath us in the video player area. Something I've been doing lately on my solo stuff. I should probably do it for everything that I have a board. Make it worthwhile to be seen. But yeah, that's the board, unless you have any commentary you want to make about that.
Well, Baba's dead. You said Owl Nider? You didn't mention him that he was dead.
Yeah, no, I did. I listed 3 people as dead. See, I've made this whole changelog section, and you're still missing stuff. For what, though, I don't know, because all you're doing is using your eyes to look while I'm talking. So all you need to do is listen.
Very suppression. Yeah, okay. That checks out. Everything checks out.
Yeah, like I said, I'd be very surprised if you pulled something out that I missed on the board. But, I mean, that would require you to have, spotted somebody that I didn't see. This character exists now.
You call this guy a bodyguard? I would say that he's like one of those handlers / producers. He doesn't seem much of a bodyguard. I would
make the self-defense argument of I have not put anything under him. So I'm calling him a bodyguard. On the board, I haven't labeled him a bodyguard. I've labeled him as nothing.
That's hence why I ask. The guy who let it slip. Oh, it's a real Lacus.
Well, everyone lets that slip.
Yeah.
It's the least guarded secret of all secrets. Well, anyway, I think we should go into thoughts then. I think I have less than you do, so I think I'll start off. Because I think that's the way we usually handle this. The one who has more goes first to burn off more. We see that Martin and company aboard the Eternal are still wearing zaft uniforms, implying that they're still like they were back during the last war, which is to say, factionalized from the rest of Zaft and doing their own thing. The fact that they orchestrated a means to rejoin back with Lacus suggests that some part of Zaft has always known that the Lacus in their midst was a fake, and that Durandal and the rest didn't know that they were in his midst. I guess they just haven't done anything with that information yet.
That basically is I put my first note as under. This is from Unfulfilled Feelings, phase 27 or chapter 27, but in a series of questions. Like, how extensive and powerful is the client faction, and why, if they share the same goals with Durandal, don't they back him up? Apparently, they must know about the fake Lacus Mir, because if either they know something that we don't know about Durandal, and they're like, yeah, we're waiting on this just in case, instead of openly backing Durandal, or they're waiting for Lacus. Their loyalty is first and foremost to Lacus and the client faction, and her father, dead father. And the moment she says, hey, I need help, they're like, sure, whatever you need, right? So, and they clearly have to know that, that Mir is not the real Lacus, otherwise they wouldn't have answered the call, right? So she did have a way of contacting them clearly at some point, either from the Archangel or somewhere else.
I mean, I got nothing to add. It's the same point, as you've indicated. It's the same point both ways. I'm still not going to cast judgment on Durandal's motives for going after the real Lacus and creating a fake Lacus as of yet, as I feel like I still need to understand the reasoning behind it. At the start of episode 27, he says that the only reason fake Lacus would come to the plants would be to stir chaos among its people. And in fairness, the only thing he has been using real Lacus for has been to create unity among the people. So, he's not wrong about what should happen if the truth comes out, and its potential to negatively affect the world. A real Watchmen-style conundrum.
I mean, the problem is this is a problem of his own making, right? He set up a fake Lacus. Now that if the real one shows up, which I said in an earlier note, it will be disruptive. It was like, well, and I have a note about that.
I mean, we've fallen on the opposite sides of this debate to begin with. So, yeah. I mean, I wrote this knowing that you were going to disagree with me. It's just the element of intent behind the visit, which is more what I'm leaning towards here. That what you're saying is true, sure, it's a problem he's created. But at the same time, if everything is kosher right now, with fake Lacus doing everything, then your showing up could only create chaos. So your visit might be for your own peace of mind, but at the same time, you have to know what you're going to do by showing up.
I mean, and I have a note about that, because this might actually be an opportunity for Durandal if he's in the up and up, right?
I mean, it all goes to the how many lies can you tell to make a perfect world. Everything I've been talking about before, how bad can you be before you create a good utopia and still be in it?
Well, to my next point, because it has to do, because Durandal says something about it's a good thing that, and I put it as a question. Why would it be a good thing to separate Lacus from Kira? Is Durandal counting on this being a weakness that he can exploit? Because I feel like he's like, oh, it's a good thing that they're not together, right? But what's Kira's biggest strength? Well, the freedom, right? The fact that
it's not decision making.
That's true.
I got way many thoughts about that later. You know what? Actually, I've got my very next thought is literally the same thing you've got. So let me read mine, and then we can discuss both of ours together. Durandal says, perhaps it's a good thing that Lacus and Kira have been separated, suggesting that it wasn't his plan for that to happen. You'd think that someone that was trying to kill Lacus would, in that way, always have been trying to separate them. I don't know. It just gives me a doubt as to whether he is really the culprit to that assassination attempt.
Well, I mean, the assassination attempt was not just on the main target was Lacus, but they want to kill everybody.
Right, but I'm saying, he says, no, maybe it's a good thing that they're separated. And it's like, I think somebody trying to kill them would be trying to always have been separating them.
Well, I think it's more of the opportunist in Durandal, like, oh, this might be an opportunity. This is a silver lining. I'm going to try to exploit it, right? Kind of thing.
Right. Like, well, forget the assassination part of my comment. And you're questioning why. Well, you're questioning why it would be a good thing to have them separated. I'm still leaning more towards the element of, well, maybe this is a good thing, as though he was never trying to separate them, which means that he didn't have plans for them.
Well, he certainly wanted to know where the Archangel was at all times, and I have a comment about that later on.
I mean, it's a military powerhouse. The Archangel, the Eternal, I can't remember what the other one was called, and then the Minerva are such weird things. I didn't write a note about this thought, but the idea that they all have individual ships rather than their fleets that they have doing all the fighting in the war is. I keep thinking, I think you brought this up before in the past. Why aren't these guys getting any support? You know, I think they did one time when the Minerva traveled with a sub, because the sub's only purpose was to die. But the fact that the Minerva is constantly in a fight where it's getting wrecked because it's the only thing around. It's like, maybe they should have built two of these. Like, have them both travel side by side, you know? Yeah.
A fleet of them. They're so powerful.
It's not impossible. I guess it's the fact that they keep getting fucking stolen. The Eternal was fucking stolen. They would have had two going side by side, but, you know, Lacus stole it and then kept it for herself? I mean, we know it's in an asteroid or some shit, so, you know, the Minerva wouldn't be wrecked to shit if they had a sister ship. Anyway, why? Why would it be good if they were separated? Maybe Kira gets his strength from Lacus? I have a future note about this, so I'm not going to go in-depth to it, but the idea that Kira in the last episode that we watched was inspired to action by Kigali crying, that maybe he finds his strength in supporting the people around him. So separating him from that pillar would be...
I mean, he always wants to protect other people, right? That's why he... I'm using that as an example. Thing. Yeah, he's doing the wrong thing for the right reasons, right? That is, he's launching these attacks and trying to save people, but, you know, he's messing up. He has the right intentions, but it's just the wrong way of doing it, right? And that's why we end up with the entire episode of...
You know who Kira is? Kira is your big brother. Like, you fell over, skinned your knee, started crying. Your big brother turns around, sees you standing next to, or sees somebody standing next to you, thinks you got pushed over, beats the crap out of that guy. Your big brother did a bad thing for a good reason. Doesn't make it right, though.
I didn't say it was right. I'm literally saying that that they're being idiots and making things worse, and it's not working for the very intent that they're trying to do. So, you know, screwing up all around, right? But it's context, I think, is important of why they're doing what they're doing, right? That's one character they haven't assassinated yet.
Who?
You know, Kira.
Oh no, I got a paragraph about Kira's character assassination, or just how bad a character Kira always was. I don't know. Either I'm gonna have people hate me for one thing or another. Kira, fucking idiot. Anyway, your next thought, since I backpacked on yours already.
Yeah, this is a me starting reading screens, which I usually don't do. But
are you serious? Because literally, once again, my next thought is a whole note section about what was on the screens.
Yeah. Neo's name in Gibral screen reads J.P. Jones, which is the ship. I first was like, oh, that's...
Yeah, I already covered the fact that...
John Paul James. And the graph on the screen shows an object in orbit of Earth with 3 other objects connected to it. Could this be the station Gibral and Blue Claws are operating from? It could explain why they were unfazed by the attack on Earth. They were now stationed on Earth. We talk about they could be in a southern pole or something like that, in a dome city, or in Mars or somewhere else. But the only way to keep such an object hidden would be with cloaking technology. If this is not a vision of the plant or some other station or something else, because I was like, you know, and then have another note because we will see this again.
Well, here's the problem. Okay. Let me just read my note here, because again, we're covering the same thing, and I think my note is also going to cover your other note, so you might be reading that note right after I read this.
Yeah.
Gibral's monitor, when talking to Neo, has 2 other windows open on it. Later in the episode, Durandal has the exact same 2 windows open. One is looking at the moon in the center, with its orbit on a line, and the Earth in the middle of that. It has 4 purple vectors coming off of it with lines pointed out from them. my best guess would be the locations of the moon bases, but there are also flow charts on that same window that I'm unsure of how they would apply. Also, an overlay of what seems to be an emitter of some kind. Sorry. That overlay of the emitter thing is you can only see that on Durandal's, because Gibril covers it up on that one, but Durandal's from the other side, so you can see it looks like a flashlight kind of thing with a ray emitter coming off of it. The second window shows a label saying GFAS-X1 destroy. We have Off-Roll Dryzen, Impact 13, high energy gun. Nefertim 503. Nefertim is an Egyptian mythology related to the sun. It's a plasma blaster, apparently. Super Skyla. Skyla was a Greek monster that ate people. This one's a 1,580 millimeter multi-phase energy gun. Sturmfaust, which translate, by the way, to Sturmfaust. Mark 62, which is a multi-purpose missile launcher.
A Stormfist, actually.
Well, it's probably a rocket launcher, but we already have a missile launcher right underneath that anyway. But that's the thing that's on both of their screens, which I guess is also the interest being it's on both of their screens. They're looking at the same
I'll jump to my note because I'll say all the notes that have to do with that. New Gundam model with a lot of German-sounding weapons names, but
not all German though. Yeah, some Egyptian, some Greek.
Plasma weapons, missiles, and 150 millimeter multi-phase energy gun, whatever that means. But that's not the only note.
1,580 millimeter. I mean, that might be a typo, but it's what's on screen. I typed it verbatim. 1580.
That's a kilometer-long gun.
Then it's a typo, but it's on the screen. Not a typo on my end. It's a typo on their end.
I read it as 158, not 1,050.
Okay. There was a zero.
Yeah. Durandal was looking at the same schematics and objects in space as Gibril did earlier. Either this is a SAF data that Gibril got his hands on somehow, or Durandal knows far more than he lets on. Durandal readings include what looks like an O'Neill-type cylinder projecting something very similar to the solar beam used by the Sion forces during the 1 Year War. The timestamp is 9/29/21 in the video I saw.
I would also argue that we have no sense of scale. I likened it to a flashlight. You likened it to a you said O'Neill cylinder, but I was trying to think of like a mega structure. So clearly we thought two different. We thought
like a side, basically.
Well, mega structure was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
We likened it to way different scales. But, I can see what you're going for. Because like I said, I thought maybe the locations that things were supposed to be on were the moon-based locations. And we've already seen, like, Alaska in Season 1. You can build these megastructures underground and hide them. So it's entirely possible he's built a Hapen death disk in the moon. If you're not familiar with Star Wars, Hapen ships rotate.
Yeah.
So their blasters fight. Yeah, that's what I was trying to indicate. You gave me no visual there. I don't know. To another read about what you said, the other element is the fact that the screen layouts are exactly the same on both screens. Like, they're not looking at the same information. They're looking at the same screen. Because it's, Gundam right here. The moon, whatever thing is right here. I think Durandal's head covers the other part of the screen, so I don't know it was over here.
Yeah. Look at the same thing. Even the close-ups are the same.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the same screen, which either implies that they're looking at a screenshot taken from somewhere of the same screen, or they're on a call together? I don't know.
No, because at the time... Well, I guess you
maybe Durandal knows about Logos because he's a member of Logos.
Yeah.
Maybe, in fact, he's a member of Logos who doesn't want to answer Gibril anymore. Maybe I'm going to use my position in Zaft to take over Logos.
So I guess it would be your next point?
Yeah, because yeah, sure, why not? I would say I think we both did 2 for 2 there. I wonder who ordered Lunamaria to spy on Atherin.
I also have a note like that.
I guess there's only so much stuff to talk about that we're just both going to talk
Yeah.
about. I had said before that Talia ordered her to do it, and from the report she turned in, it seems like Talia did give her the order, but when explaining the purpose of the order, she says she believes the purpose of it to be to gain intel on the Archangel, as though she was merely handing off orders she was given and not creating them herself. So either the order came from the outside, meaning Durandal is pulling the strings to make sure certain people are in the locations he wants them to be, or to know specific things, or this goes back to when I thought Ray might be inserting data into the Minerva, as during the conversation, the camera flips back to him reboarding the ship for some reason.
Yeah, my take on that, and it's basically the same, but I added something about Lacus, or Mir, actually. Captain says that he believes that the object of Luna Maria's mission was to gather information on the Archangel and not to test Arthur's loyalty. That means that the mission did not originate with her, but probably from either the Council, because she's a Faith member, remember, or Durandal himself. It also means that Captain Gladys also knows, or at least suspects, about fake Lacus, if she reads the information.
No, because I think the implication is that Luna Maria kept it out. That's why Luna Maria is having the idea of, like, is there something you want to say? And then she's remembering back, oh, no, it was nothing. So I don't think I don't know. It's a recording, though, so.
Yeah, it recorded the audio, unless she edited the audio.
I don't know what the point of withholding your thoughts on the matter if you know that you're handing in literally that information anyway. But yeah, no, again.
Well, I think the question is, because she was asking about it, and it's like, should I ask about this? Is it something is above my pay grade, or should I just leave it be?
Yeah, it could be personal. It could be personal inquiry, because she does tell her to forget everything about it, and it's like, oh, this might be my last chance to talk about this. And it's like, I have an interest in Athrun. I might want to ask about the woman he's hanging out with all the time.
And remember that she saw them in the room, like Mir was the one that opened the door with basically wearing.
Yeah, so I said there was the flashback. But again, this is being this being a information given to us is often visual in nature.
Yeah.
And the fact, again, that in the middle of this, what's Ray up to all of a sudden? As we're still hearing her talk. And it's like, well, there's that thing where Ray keeps going from his room, typing stuff up, to the computer room, and inserting shit into the computer. Maybe Ray is the one giving the information, just it seems like it's coming from somewhere else. I feel like there's going to be like a big old dump of information later to find out who's been doing stuff in the background the whole time.
Yeah, I have something about that. I didn't mention Ray specifically, but in a way, when I get to that note.
Ray reprogramming the computer and Talia giving the orders to Luna Maria have been my thing that I've been talking about in the background of other episodes, so that's why I'm following those trails.
Yeah. That's my final note for this chapter. I don't mention Ray in this note, but I'm going to talk about him anyway. It seems the old man is a spy, but for who? Or who?
Old man? Actually. Oh, the homeless guy who's got the stuff spread out. I was looking at my board, and I'm like, who fucking looks like this guy? Nobody looks like. I even had a half thought in my head. Is it possible that Kigali's dad survived the explosion?
No, he got shot to pieces, basically.
No, Kigali's dad, I said.
Oh, Kigali's dad.
The guy who's in the middle of the fireball, which is probably worse. It's just, who do we know who's got a giant beard?
Then again, anyone with a camera could spot the Minerva leaving port, because we see other people do that. The question is how they, the Alliance, know the route the ship will take. Then again, they might be part of Marie. Her name I never get. The one that's reported returns to.
Ha.
To the
I just call her Ha. It's 3 letters. It's easy to remember.
Yeah, Ha. Network, and that is why the Archangel knows what the Minerva is leaving port. So, because there's 2 things. The Archangel knows Minerva is leaving port, but they don't know where it's heading. I guess they track it with sonar or something. That's why they find out, because they know the other ships are.
Well, they don't know for certain. That's why they talk about using a net to track it.
but the Alliance has very reliable information that no, they're going to go through here, right? We don't know the specific, but they're going to go through here. If you think about it, you can go down because the way the map is shown, Crete is here. It's shown vertically, but most of the time in the Mediterranean, it's shown horizontally.
Well, if you think about every time we've seen the Japanese map is tilted a specific way. So you can imagine if all of their maps are tilted in that same way.
Yeah. Which is weird, but there you go. It's if they're coming down from the Bosphorus, they have the whole Mediterranean. They could go down all the way to say the short. Well, depending on where enemy forces
but the location of the assaulting fleets that are trying to pin them in is pretty wide. They could have just we're going to be somewhere in this region, so we're going to split ourselves up in a wide angle to be able to capture them.
Yuna says they're saying they're going to pass through here.
Oh, so you think Yuna knows shit?
Well, I think he's basically.
He's not talking out of his ass like he normally does. You think this time he's actually true. He does know shit.
I think what he's parroting is Neo's info, right? Neo knows, and he's like, "Yeah, they're gonna do that." Like he wants to be, show himself bigger. It's like, "Yeah, okay, you can talk. Don't worry about it, kid. Don't, we're sure about this, and you got to do this and that." And
I'm like 2 thoughts away from shitting on everybody, including Neo. So
yeah. So it's weird. Is it this guy who gave them the information of where the Minerva was going to be, or to the Alliance? Is it working for the Alliance? Because the last time we saw him, he was standing outside the base, the laboratory, and he was behind a tree, nobody can see me here.
I don't know.
But then we have Ray, who before that is the one again goes into the computer and does that. And my theory is that Ray might be brainwashed or something, and that's why he's a what's it called? What's a movie?
Manchurian Candidate?
Yeah, it's a Manchurian Candidate.
I don't think so. That's probably because I already have my own theory about Ray, so I don't want it. I want to be right. I don't want you to be right. But no, I mean, here's the thing: is when it comes to the location of things, I'm not bothered because it's so pointless. Because once you start getting into the weeds on that one, you're like, why can't they locate everything else? Because I even thought about writing a note about the fact that we've seen zaft tracking stations that are keeping track of micro things in orbit, so they can keep track of that. But so if they can keep track of every rock in orbit, how can they not keep track of that one ship that went missing that Lacus was on? Same token, you've got ships all over space right now, in orbit rather. You should be able to literally, you could put a pair of binoculars and look down. Oh, that's the Minerva. It's moving.
Well, there's a lot of fighting in space. We see that when Gibberell's talking.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm just saying it's just so much shit. I've always get on a lot of Gundam, in fact, for not being able to keep track of shit on the ground. You've got planes all over the place. You're in control of this territory. You got 5, 6 bases nearby.
Oh, there's always Minovsky particles. So yeah, unless you don't have the direct line of sight.
Again, I'm talking about you could just telescope. But no, I can't do binoculars because my other hand's my push to talk. Half binoculars. But yeah, I don't know. If I started bitching about that, I would never stop. So I just hold myself back on those things. All right, my next one is literally just a one sentence. I think the implication is that Durka complained about the shady company Hall was keeping, and then she dumped him. She makes a line to I can't remember, the mechanic. Yeah. About he says, "Oh, you're keeping all that shady company." It's just it's like with boyfriends. They start complaining about that, and I just let them go, and they laugh. And then there's that later comment about Durka, and it's we're not together anymore. So I thought she was throwing immediate shade on Durka.
I never thought. Well, I guess the movies never show them getting together. So this is just
there's a weird series of. He's in the prison, it's the prison back and forth scenes that they get. Also, in the doctor's office, where he's like, "Oh, you took that fucking serious? I mean, I didn't do it." And he starts feeling guilty about it, and then he starts fighting on their side. I don't know. It's a lot of back and forth. Easily implied attraction, even though he was there when her boyfriend got his head cut off by a giant Gundam shield. That guy did much anyway.
Yeah, maybe they pretending they broke up so that she.
I don't know why she wouldn't tell her literal best friends in the world that. Why would you keep that secret? Almost like another faction's about to make itself known.
Your next point.
That was my point.
Oh, okay. Now moving on to chapter 28. And this is a comment about the entire chapter. It's a big one, but if the goal of this episode was to show us how utterly stupid the actions of the Archangel and their crew were, then it succeeded admirably. Everyone in this episode seems to be playing football with the idiot ball. Examples include, but are not limited to, the suicidal mindset of some of the Orb forces and leadership, such as Lieutenant Baba's kamikaze attack on the Minerva. And Kagali's fails once again to stop the fighting by words alone, something that she has consistently failed to do every single time.
Oh, was that it?
That it?
Sorry, you said it involved the entire episode, so I thought you were going to go down like a whole list. I disagree on the Baba thing, but I've got like a more in-depth note about the Baba thing later somewhere. The Kigali thing. I've got a note about that too, I think. So, and unfortunately, they're paragraphs, so I can't like dissect them here. There's a lot going on in the episode that is bad and may have some redeeming factors, but not strongly. I wouldn't fight for them, but I think they're too much to like try to encapsulate in one note. Shin attacking Kigali is such a dumb move on so many levels. I think it worsens his character by making him an obtuse version of who we saw in the earlier episodes. Instead of being someone with strongly held opinions about the leadership of Orb due to the loss he feels from their perceived inaction back then, that would have had the nuance to develop and express them in ways that could affect the change he'd want to see. He instead is just a bottle of rage that just gets opened up at a almost random moment. Is that unrealistic? No. But that shouldn't be the actions of our main characters. We have Zala faction people that have already done that and expressed for us in the audience that there are people like that, ready to explode at a world that they are raging against. Those are background characters exactly for the reason that they are one note. Shin needs to be more than that as a primary character. That is why I'm disappointed in the writing for him.
I think right now Chin is being kicked to the side. Once Kira and Arthur and everybody else came, it was like, oh, it's about them. It's not about Chin. Chin just happens to be the guy who loses his temper and starts killing shit.
No, they're writing him into a moment that he's going to have to deal with later because he knows who Tadaka is. Now he's killed Tadaka, essentially. And we've got Stella going ahead, and we've already indicated through a flash into the ship that Stella's suffering right now while the Minerva's being attacked. So Shin has the whole Stella arc going ahead, though they killed Owl, which I think is the weird thing, because Owl was the one guy who recognized something's missing here. Sting didn't. And Sting is now the surviving member that's still in that group. So we still have the Shin Stella arc going forward. So again, I think there's more emotion to be had, but they used him in the way that they used our throwaway Zala faction guys.
Again, sorry about that. Again, I'm wondering where's the Chin that said, like his opening words were, "Why are you trying to do this? You're going to try to start another war, right?" That Chin, I was like, yeah, that's a Chin I like because, like, in spite of his personal loss, he was somebody who was trying to stop things from getting worse. But this Chin is like, oh, that I never said that. I lost my sister, my family. I'm not going to take revenge on everybody who just messes with me,
That's what I'm saying. It's the difference. Because that Shin, the previous Shin, had nuance. He had a main character arc to him that seemed to have been set out. And this Shin is one-note Shin. That's what I'm saying. We don't need a primary character who's written the same as our background characters. So I'm disappointed in where the writing is doing with him. He had a lot of promise, and now he's being shafted.
This is a note that you may or may not agree with, but just something I noted. It was like, because you often said that the freedom is 5 times more than all the other mobile suits, right?
4 times? So it was based on the amount of energy it gets from its nuclear reactor. So whatever I said there.
Yeah. Chin basically goes into seed mode, both said not, and matches Kira's skill with neither of them being able to land a blow. Now, it could really be that Kira also is not in seed mode, and when he is, he's superior. Nobody can beat him. Or it could be that, Chin has the possibility of matching Kira, but
You don't think
it was notable.
You don't think I would have written a note about this as much as I shit on Kira all the time? All Shin does when he goes into seed mode in this fight against Kira is dodge backwards and then flies off, and then from there on, Kira is fighting Athrun. So he's not matching Kira unseeded in his seed mode. He dodged, and then Kira goes off to fight Athrun. So,
and he also destroys the guy as well. So not the guy, the other one, the
guy who I just mentioned. Gundam. Yeah.
Owl.
Sting. Owl's dead. Owl's dead.
Sting is the mech.
Well, Sting is the one who gets chopped up and he lands, and they have to pull him out with an emergency team.
Yeah. So
I thought about it because I thought, oh, another Kira's too strong bullshit. It's like, no, Kira doesn't actually do anything because they break apart right after that. Kira would rather fight his best friend, Zaft, and the Alliance rather than take Kigali back to Orb and even try to talk to them. We keep flashing back to the beach where Athrun is telling them to go back to Orb. As I pointed out, they sat on the bottom of the sea instead of traveling there. They decided investigating identity theft was more important than the nation's wartime allegiance. Kira and company are just a bunch of idiots this season. Even if going to Orb turned out to be pointless and nothing came from it, the attempt would have been more important than anything they've been doing so far.
I just agree. I just have to agree.
Just the element of... sorry, I have a longer thought about Kira's final little speech at the end of the episode about how much I fucking hate them right now. But also to this thing that I said here at the very beginning, he'd rather fight Athrun. He'd rather fight everybody than do the one thing that we also keep flashing back for. I wish I had done it. I thought about going back the last 2 episodes and counting how many times we flash back to that beach. Just so I'd have the number for, we've flashed back to it 70 times. And he doesn't fucking do it. Because, I don't know, maybe sometimes Kira feels like me, where if somebody else tells you to do a thing that you thought was a good idea, you suddenly start thinking, maybe that's not such a good idea because I didn't think of it. That sort of thing. Yeah. That's who Kira feels like. So, if you like Kira and you don't like me, we're the same guy, apparently.
Yeah, 2 minutes. The next note. With the capture of Stella, who is dying, and the destruction of the Abyss, not the Gaia. Although the Gaia is damaged and it's in the Minerva. And the death of All, Phantom Pain is finished unless Stella escapes with the Gaia and reunites with the team. Because basically there's just one guy, right?
Oh, one guy is still a guy.
Yeah, but it's the whole thing is that they had the 3 Gundams and, working together and all that. But right now,
Sting is still better than every other pilot. That's on his side.
Mm-hmm. But not enough to really make a change unless he's not. I mean, if he's fighting the Minerva or the...
I don't think you're being imaginative enough. Literally, just don't throw him into the field with those guys. Sting goes off and runs rampant over Europe. Those guys are going to have to come after him, which means they're not going to be able to do something else, which means Durandal, if he's got a plan, he's going to be able to enact that somewhere. Jibril has a plan. You can use Sting to distract everybody from whatever the fuck you've got on the moon, which is apparently both Jibril and Durandal's. So,
yeah.
All right. More shitting time. Neo is also kind of dumb, since I'm already shitting on everyone at the moment. He gets on the horn every combat to yell at Yuna about destroying the Minerva or the Archangel halfway through the fight, as though Orb wasn't in the middle of attempting to do just that. More than that, Yuna is already commanding his crews to go well beyond what is safe and reasonable in a combat situation, and expending all of his resources to accomplish this task without Neo yelling at him. His captains always want to hold back and play the scenario out logically and reasonably, but Yuna pushes them onwards without restraint. And Neo yells at him like he's doing less than the captains want. literally nothing is gained by the Neo picks up phone to yell at Yuna scenes. It makes Neo seem more petulant than Yuna himself already is.
Yeah, 1-to-1, I would say. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing gained. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, imagine you called up your suicide bomber friend who's standing in the field ready to blow himself up. What are you doing? Fucking kill him already. It's like he's already getting ready to blow himself up. He's extremed. He's already gone extreme. What are you doing?
Yeah.
In fact, you're probably going to make it worse. He's probably going to be in his own head now.
Yeah, I think it's more of a situation. I mean, it's still dumb. I'm not saying it's not, but it's more like crap flows downstream. Like Jibro screams at Neo, and Neo screams at Yuna, and Yuna screams at the captains, and then the captains do something stupid I'm going to talk about.
It's the order of operations here, because that days ago, Jibro yelled at Neo. Now, Yuna has already yelled at his captains. It's already happened. They're like, we should hold back. This isn't like the games that you're so good at. This is real life fighting. They've already had this discussion where he's like, send them all in. Send all our forces in. And then Neo calls him up, and it's like, I already told them to go all in. I literally can't be more all in than I am right now.
Yeah. Talking about going all in, Tadaka sacrificed himself, his crew. I mean, some people evacuated, but a lot of people died.
He literally told all of them to evacuate, but the people that would have died would have been the ones who already were dying because Shin was killing them.
Yeah. And his ship, and then order Yuna to evacuate. Why? Why did it do that attack? And if he wanted to affect the situation, well, you do what what's her name? What's her name? Marius did. Like, oh, I'm dying. Well, I'm gonna take that hit, and you're gonna die with me.
No, you mean Bad Girl?
That Bad Girl, yeah.
Do you remember her name? It's apropos. Actually, it's not apropos. She wasn't. Well, she did command the enemy ship. Anyway, here's the thing. I didn't write a note about this because you made a good point last episode about why he was doing it, and now you've got gone and written a note contradicting your own point from last time. So I don't know where to go from this. You're both sides of your own argument now.
No, my point was, if he was doing it to take down Yuna with him, to show and it's like, and fulfill his duty to like, oh, I'm going to protect Orb by saying that it wouldn't matter, but at least it would have been easier for Kigali to then come back because Yuna was one of them.
The Siren that's back home is the smarter one. Remember back when we were having these conversations about Yuna's point during the arguments was like incoherent, didn't mean anything, but his dad comes along and he's the one that gives all the rational arguments about why they should bend the knee. He's back home. He's the one you're going to have the argument with. So his son dying out here, I don't think it's going to matter very much. So, it also shows the strength of the country to the alliance and everything, which was the point that you were bringing up before.
Yeah.
And it was the point that Tadaka is doing it for. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know where to come at this because you're both sides of the argument.
I mean, but does it, because I'm thinking about it
you just
now,
want Yuna to die. I know why you're saying this now, but Tadaka's own point was also the point you were making when the episode was coming up, and I have to side with that. Oh, here's the thing. Actually, I don't so much side with that because I have a note about Baba, and Baba's point is more coherent to me than Tadaka's. So I'll handle that when we get to Baba.
I found Baba's point to be even less.
I think Baba's point, and I'm not getting into this because I'm not actually my next note, but Baba's point is more reading between the lines than it is any kind of fanaticism or anything.
Oh, to the next point then.
I get Talia's point about how much damage the Minerva suffered due to the Archangel's intervention. It follows along with Atherin telling Kira that them showing up on the battlefield just creates chaos. Hell, we saw the body bags of dead Minerva crew from the last battle, so we know the personal stake she must feel for that loss. At the same time, I don't know that calling on your forces to treat the Archangel as a hostile ship is a good call either. And I mean this from the ship itself point of view. The Archangel's weapons are too strong to provide anti-combat measures like the Gundams can. By that, I mean it can't shoot the weapon out of an enemy's hands or the like. All it can do is fire warning shots to try and stop movement, as it did in the last fight. That is, unless it decides to pick a side. In the meantime, probably best to consider it an annoyance. Just focus on the actual enemy you're fighting instead of labeling it as a new one.
I agree. 100%. My final point then. And this is just a take on the entire episode again. Overall, a very dumb episode all around.
Oh, okay.
That's all I had to say.
I'll point out my final thought is also one sentence long, but it's not that. I still have 2 paragraphs to get through here. All right, let's get to the Baba thing then. Agree, also, by the way. I feel like Baba's words were less of a sign of allegiance towards Yuna and the current leadership of Orb, and more a refutal of Kigali's current state. To admit that this person in front of them might be the real Kigali would be the opportunity to remind her about how things work in the real world. That her abandonment of the nation means that they follow the orders of those who are in charge in her stead. I feel like that is why he indicates towards them being unfamiliar, the orders, and yells at her asking if she understands that. It's a call to action, punctuated with his own life, for her to do what it takes to get the country back to the way it should be. And, to clarify, I said abandonment because of her apparent refusal to go back to Orb and confront what is happening directly, instead of just showing up at random battles demanding to be heard. She might not be at fault for being kidnapped, but she has been given plenty of chances to make a call, and has failed every time thereafter. Like you said,
I don't agree. I don't agree that you're adding a couple of layers I didn't see in his actions. I just I'm like, I got to do this because those are my orders. Boom.
There's emphasization. He puts emphasis on certain words while he's yelling at her, and there's the whole element of him and his crew having an internal debate when she shows up in front of them about if she's the real Kigali or not. So I feel like if you focus on certain words that he says and how he says them, it's a call to action. He is refuting her trying to end the battle here and trying to make her do what's right by saying, I follow the leadership, and that is Yuna right now. It's just the way he says it. I believe he's calling her to do the right thing instead of this. Because we all know this ain't working, this is dumb. And to make it serious, to know that it's not just him, everybody needs her to do the right thing. He pays the price with his own life to make sure that she knows this is fucking serious.
I mean, I think that never was her problem. The problem was, executive inaction, basically.
No, that's what I'm saying. That is the problem. She won't get off her ass because it doesn't feel real enough to her. She cries because people are dying. What if they start fucking killing themselves for Yuna? If they're doing everything that Yuna tells them to do, and Yuna's just like, we already saw previous in the episode, this is the course of action we need to take, which I think also inspires Tadaka. It's like, well, if you think it needs to be done, maybe you need to see the consequences of your actions. That they're following, they're going extremist for him, against him, is what I feel like.
I don't see it working, but sure.
I think it is. I think this is I think this is hope. Maybe this is hope. I'm hoping this is the last bad episode, because I feel like this is that call to action, and that she is going to act upon it for those reasons. That this should not happen again, because this is what it takes. Kira says it doesn't matter what Athrun is saying, because Kigali is crying. And I'll admit that as stupid as this goddamn episode was, Kigali crying for everything she was seeing was still a bit moving. But Kira ruins it all. His point is that Kigali didn't want things to turn out like this, but Athrun told you before this fight, in the beach scene that we are constantly keep flashing back to go back to Orb and fix it. The reason she's here witnessing all of this and crying is because you didn't do that. You choose to help your girlfriend go to space first and then hang around in the Mediterranean instead of figuring out how to keep Orb out of the war. He talks down to Athrun about how Athrun seems to think these fights can't be helped and that it's Orb and Kigali's fault. Except that is exactly what it is. I know there is a meta-narrative at play wherein the moral is that if people don't allow this to happen, then we have more power to stop it than the leaders we follow. Vis-a-vis Patrick being stopped by his subordinates. But at the same time, if Kigali went home and asserted her power as the leader of Orb, then Orb would pull back from the war and the fight wouldn't be happening. If every leader that didn't want to be in this war because they were being pressured by the Alliance did that, then there would be so much less fighting across the globe, reducing the amount of forces available to fight by limiting the amount of resources available to the Alliance. In this instance, in this narrative, it is the leader's fault, of which Kigali is one. Then, Kira goes seed mode to fight Athrun for what Kira perceives Athrun as having said, using physical violence to attack someone for their words, because Kira is a dumbass.
Yes.
You made my girlfriend cry with your words. I'm a pacifist, but I'm gonna fucking kick some ass today.
Well, you made my twin sister cry. So.
I'm just saying. It's fucking dumb on so many levels. You're saying Kigali's to blame for this? Well, no, he said Kigali is to blame for this because she fucking is. And you're to blame too. I'm gonna kick your ass. Oh, fucking son of a bitch. I am so angry, Akira. Alright, and my final note is, watching Shin kill Tadaka with Kigali crying was rough.
It's supposed to be, but the problem is, this whole thing is so stupid that I was like, this is just another... This is icing on the shit cake, and
I mean, it's rough emotionally. I felt sad watching it. So, I mean, I felt sad watching it the first time, because Kigali crying does get to me a bit. I said that in my second to last note. But there's the element of watching something with someone else. I feel less emotion about these things when I'm watching it with you than I do when I'm taking my notes by myself. It's how these things work, and it's not doing something I'm doing on purpose. So, having that all put together, because, we had the flashback of Tadaka comforting Shin, and it's like, it's everything. It's everything put together. All right, well, those are our thoughts. So we go back. We have David Butt from the Patreon from the episode Unfulfilled Feelings. The first half of this comment is about episodes 25 and 26, but the rest of the comment is specifically for this episode. I think the extended stuff is some of the strongest material in the show. It's suitably tragic, and it works well with the themes of the show. It's the complete opposite of the Kira and Kigali stuff, which is the worst in the series. The end of the conversation from episode 25 is stupid. Athrun is the only one making actual legitimate points. And all Kira can say is, I get what you're saying, but something still feels wrong, and you shouldn't be fighting anyone. Nobody should, and it makes them look like morons. Referring to your thoughts and comment responses from last time, I don't think the reason why you're disliking the Kira intervention is because you don't like 00. 00 is in my top 5 Gundam series, and I hate the plotline as well. It's just completely poorly written, and completely insulting the audience's intelligence. The rest of this episode is mostly table setting, but the only thing I really like here is seeing Aul kind of remember Stella, and notice something is off. But yeah, the show is about to get really dumb.
Yeah, thanks for the warning.
Well, that was about episode 25.
Yeah, I
know. Okay, nothing to add?
No, I agree in all his points. That's basically what we've been talking about for the last half an hour or so.
All right, well.
20 minutes, really.
Time to go into list format, because next one is from Frenrir756. From the Patreon, from the episode Unfulfilled Feelings. Comments for this episode. Stella is an enemy soldier, and while the doctors may still follow the Hippocratic Oath, bringing an enemy soldier onto Minerva unrestrained and without guards put the rest of the crew at risk, which is why permission for such an incident would be required.
Like I said when I made that comment, Chin's only mistake was that he acted alone and didn't tell anybody about it. But he did the right thing, but he did the incomplete thing.
Right.
But the way they react is like, oh, it's illegal for you to bring her here and we treat her. It's like, no, you're supposed to treat her. That's what you're supposed to do as a doctor. It's the taking security measures and all that. That is,
Why would an anti-coordinator faction hire a coordinator, Gladys, to help create anti-coordinator super soldiers? That's my thing, where I thought maybe Talia may have worked at the facility.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, I mean, the thing is, we know that Durandal is a DNA expert, and we've seen him with flashbacks to Rao.
Well, we've seen him with a flashback of somebody we think looks like Rao. We're about to see an episode where apparently Rao's ghost is sitting on the couch across from him. We'll get into more of that. No, I think also the element that we saw Durandal is looking at a screen that has the same information on it as Jibril, who hates coordinators, which means either they're both actually in the same thing or one of them is stealing information from the other. That, I don't know. Anything could happen that has Talia working in that place. I don't know. It's still, I threw out a lot of ideas, I think, during my last notes. So taking anything as completely serious would be folly, I think. I'm just throwing shit out there. Also, I don't know. That's one of those I don't have evidence for. Just feels like this might be going on. Like when you're watching a murder mystery and you think maybe the butler did it, and I don't know why. Just a feeling I have. Lacus was involved in politics in Seed somewhat previously because she ran the Janus 7 Memorial Service and became the essential leader of the 3 ships alliance, and the plants view her as a hero for saving the plants from nukes and for stopping the war from going out of control. Lacus's influence was so great that she managed to co-opt a significant portion of the Zaft military to assist her in Seed.
Yeah, that's basically what I said. He said, no, she's just an idle, and she shouldn't have that kind of power. But
yeah, well, she shouldn't.
Does.
Well, this comment is indicating that the fact that she ran the Janus 7 Memorial Service, which is also kind of wrong, puts her into a political position. She didn't really run it. She was there to give it. Her dad sent her along it. And also, when she gets rescued from the escape pod, it's indicated that the people who were actually in charge of the Janus 7 Memorial Service pushed her into the pod after they had gotten into a fight with the Earth Forces people. So, I don't know. It's if you're singing the national anthem at a baseball game, it doesn't make you in charge of the baseball game. That's the point that I'm getting at here. That people rallied around her is probably more to do with her dad. Her dad is more important, or was more important than she was. She was just a face for the movement.
She's become more than that.
Oh yeah, now that he's dead. Zaft teams are usually named after their commander's last name.
Okay.
Just because I'm reading it doesn't make these points important.
Yeah.
I think this is a response to the fact they keep calling out the fact that everyone's like amazed that, oh, you were part of the Rao Crusette team. Again, I'm not pointing out why are they saying Rao's name. I know why they're saying his name. I'm pointing out that it's funny that they're not like, you're Patrick Zala's kid. They're like, no, you were part of this team. That's why you're famous. Not because if Hitler's kid kept wandering around, they're like, oh, that's right, you played for the Boston Celtics. Not your Hitler's kid. That's why it'd be weird. Shin's goal is to get strong enough to prevent what happened to his family from ever happening to him again. Kira's goal in Season 1 was to protect those he cared about, but he never desperately sought more power, and only fought as hard as he could, and constantly hated having to fight.
Okay, again.
It's proven by the fact he shows up in fighting areas all the time, on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Lacus returned the Eternal, which is hidden in an asteroid. You can see the part of the bridge sticking out of the asteroid, and the bridge and crew were the Eternal's crew from Season 1.
It actually looks like a mobile suit. That bridge looks like a head of a giant mobile suit for some reason.
I mean, it doesn't look like anything.
All right, that's what it looked like to me.
And to me, it just looks like a bit of red, elongated red. Like, if it's a mobile suit, it's a duck-shaped mobile suit. Isn't it interesting that Durandal appears very invested in the fact that Lacus and Kira are now separated, and that might give him some advantage? It makes sense that Durandal would care about what the real Lacus is doing, but why would he care about whether Kira and Lacus are currently together? Furthermore, the identity of who pilots the Freedom is not common knowledge, so it is just because he knows he's the pilot of the Freedom? Sorry, I also apologize if I stutter in weird spots. There is a list format going on here that is carried weirdly into my notepad, so that it just runs off, and then it's all weirdly lined up on my notepad.
Yeah, well, we discussed that in our comments, and some of the reasons why that might be the case. I think basically is that he thinks that she's more vulnerable now. So.
It's so stupid how Gibril doesn't seem to consider the Earth forces mistreating people is why they might like Zaft and the Minerva.
Because he's an asshole. He's always been an asshole. Someone who basically orders a massive, genocidal attack to kill every coordinator is not someone who's going to actually care about people. He cares about ideas. He's an idea guy, right? He's like, I care about ideas.
He's a racist.
Well, yeah.
Literally, his point. He's talking. No, I'm saying he's talking to Neo about why the people could not like Zaft and the Minerva more than Earth, and it's like, yeah, because they're coordinators. They can't like them more because they're coordinators. Coordinators will turn on you. So his entire point basis about why they cannot like them is, in his mind, cemented in fact. They cannot like coordinators more than us. Coordinators are coordinators.
I like the fact they said they'll turn on us, which again brings back that whole idea that Ultimate Blue Crossmo's deal against the coordinators is that they don't have control over them, right? It's racism, of course, but it's racism based on I fear and hate what I cannot control.
Isn't it also very interesting that both Gibril and Durandal both were shown looking at a computer screen that showed information about a new Gundam called Destroy? It seems related to Logos' plan because it was first shown when Gibril was discussing future plans with Neo. But then why would Durandal have the same information?
We talked about that a lot.
I'm thinking maybe what we should do in the future, specifically for Fenrir comments, because Fenrir always gives us the list, is that maybe right before we start recording or something, I show you all of Fenrir's comments, and then we just pull out the ones that we don't discuss at beforehand. That way we can pre-note ourselves. Chandra receives information from the Terminal stating that Orb forces are gathering in Crete, likely to attack the Minerva. Terminal is the name of the...
Spoiler?
Information that we've neither discussed before, so I'm assuming that either we've both missed it or hasn't been revealed to us. So, not gonna read it is what's happening here. I'm just trying to see if the rest of the note goes anywhere that I could continue. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna skip that one. Kira did not cuck Sai. Flay left Sai to get together with Kira in order to manipulate him into fighting until he dies, but she then inadvertently fell in love with Kira. Kira had a crush on Flay, but he never did anything to get in the way of that relationship, and Flay was the one who came onto him and manipulated him. Kira was a dick to Sai when Sai got angry and grabbed his shoulder, and he was completely out of line with how he treated him, but you can't blame Kira for blowing up Flay and Sai's relationship. Flay did that herself. You'd be surprised who I can blame. I can blame a lot of people for a lot of things.
Yeah, true.
Kira cucked Sai. That's what happened. Sai was engaged to get married with Flay. Flay may have gone out of her way to, I want to say honey trap him, but he's not really doing that because it's not a spy scenario or anything. Flay lured Kira in without telling Sai anything and avoided telling Sai anything. So in Sai's mind, he's still in a relationship with Flay until he tries to confront Flay about it, which she goes out of her way to try and not do, which leads us to the whole bending Kira's arm behind his back thing. I mean, Sai's arm behind his back thing. So, conceivably, in the situation where you think you're still engaged to somebody, and they're having sex with another man, and you might have an inkling that's going on, or you're Kira, and you know Sai still thinks he has something going on with Flay by the fact that you're like pushing him around and everything, you're basically cucking the man every time you fuck her. So, Kira's cucking Sai.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, disagree with me all you want. Ultimately, I have the ultimate
I'm not
purview.
disagreeing.
I'm not saying in general, anybody. Because this is recorded and will be in a video. Ultimately, I'm the purveyor of my own thoughts. David Butt from the Patreon, from the episode Survivors and Sacrifices. I hate this battle. It makes no sense at all for Kira and Kigali to do this again, because it worked so well the first time. All of the deaths from Orb are 100% on their hands right now. If they had done what Athrun suggested, they might have been able to stop this fight from happening. But instead, they go and do something that already failed, expecting different results. Sure, Shin was the one who killed Tadaka, and he stupidly attacks Kigali, who literally just saved his life. Not saying it's out of character, but it's still annoying. However, if it wasn't for Kira and Kigali, he never would have been able... Sorry. If it wasn't for Kira and Kigali, he never would have even been put into the position in the first place. There is one thing the show could have done that would have made all this work, but it doesn't do it. Also, the reason why we're getting single episode ending themes, such as in episode 28 and episode 13, is because that's where the compilation movies ended, and they had unique ending themes that they decided to bring into the show. So the regular ending, with everyone being all peaceful on the field and on the beach, will be back next time.
Okay. That's interesting. That's an interesting choice.
Well, I think it means that they made the movies first?
No. I think as they were making the compilations, they may have slotted them in, I guess.
How would that work, though? Because you'd make the show first, so you'd have them all, and then you make the compilation movies after, but then you go back to the thing you already made, and then put the compilation... That's what I'm saying. It sounds like they made the same way that the new movie for the new series is the first 4 episodes in the compiled format and a movie format.
Yeah.
Maybe they kind of did. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. Maybe it's for the HD remaster. Maybe they did it for the HD remaster, and maybe it's not in the original. Because just like chronologically, that doesn't make sense. All right, and lastly, Fenrir756 from the Patreon from the episode Survivors and Sacrifices. Sorry if my comments for this episode are a little out of order. Some were written after I rewatched your viewing of the episode a second time. Mira doesn't just look like Lacus, she looks practically identical to her.
in most respects.
I don't know why. Did we debate about this?
No, except that she is more well endowed, I guess.
Mir also acts differently from how Lacus would, so her personality is not identical.
We
Again,
also
did
discussed
we
how his
did we debate this? I mean, this is
no, yes. We talked about the songs and how her singing style is different.
at most
More
I can only
pop.
think that this is like a shot at the fact that I said I like Mir more, and this person is like, but they're the same person almost. I don't know. I don't know what this just seems like truisms. If you're gonna start writing truisms at us, I don't know what to do.
I like Lacus more, but there we disagree.
I know. We often have different viewpoints. That's why we're good co-hosts. If we just, the situation is when I react to stuff with, let's say, Arcloid, and Arcloid would just want to agree with everything I said. It's like, say your own thoughts, Arcloid. We don't have the same thoughts. Flashbacks are meant to show Athrun is distracted and thinking about things during the fight, and that he might be conflicted about what he actually should be doing.
Okay, but they get at least used a little too much. Like I
Also,
think
he shouldn't be conflicted because he's the right.
I mean, still his friends and his girlfriend, fiance.
You know what you should probably do? Now that we've established it's okay to do so? Kidnapper. Show is saying it's fine. Kira did it. He's the hero, right? Kira's the hero, then apparently it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you should do to a kidnapped victim? Kidnap him back.
Guess.
I mean, arguably, you're in one of the top-of-the-line mobile suits, Gundams as they're called. You could probably grab her Gundam and drag it back to the Minerva. What are they going to do? Fight you about it?
Oh, Kira would come up and slice your Gundam's limbs, basically.
Yeah, and then one Gundam self-destructs and the other one self-destructs, and you find yourself on a planet in space somehow, and you wind up next to Kigali, which is actually what you were trying to do in the first place.
Yeah. Although we know how you can survive a point-blank explosion. If you're a judo expert, you can just jump and do a turn in the air, and that you'll be fine.
I don't know what you're referring to.
I'm talking about the movie we saw, Doan's Island recently.
I mean, that didn't work against a goat, so that's why I'm saying I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Explosion. Remember that whole thing in the first season where, Kira explodes, the him point blank. I guess he jumps out. And
I was referring to.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that, though. He stays in the cockpit. That's why I was saying he wake up on a planet later, because that's what he did.
Yeah.
And where does Athrun wake up later? Next to Kigali in a doctor's bed. No, they find him on the beach. She wakes up, and I'm saying if he's trying to kidnap her, then this is the sequence of events that works about best for him. As I've tried to hint in my prior comments, Shin is so completely consumed by his rage and the trauma from losing his family that anything that reminds him of either that even or what he believes, sorry, there's no punctuation sometimes either, or what he believes to be responsible sets him off. Shin blames the Athas for the war, but this is because he has never tried to actually process or understand what actually happened. The Atlantic Federation did not attack Orb because of Orb's ideology. They wanted Orb's technology and mass driver so they could continue to work towards an assault on the plants, and the Atlantic Federation's demands on Orb were completely unreasonable. Shin has not even attempted to think through any of this, and instead lashes out at anything that he associates with the loss of his family, regardless of how justified his lashing out might be. 2, anyone he believes is acting in a way that opposes his personal sense of justice. Or 3, anyone who hurts or threatens those he cares about. Shin's goals throughout Destiny has been to get as strong as possible to prevent a repeat of what happened to his family from happening to him ever again. but he has never reflected on what this means or what Athrun told him this would result in him becoming. All of this shows how unstable Shin's mental state is.
And I think that's what Stella is supposed to bring him out of.
I'm also realizing we have a list that had a list inside of it.
Yeah.
Listception.
And I think Stella's not going to make it, though.
Well, we certainly can't take the opening or ending as a clue, because everyone dead and alive is in the opening and ending.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I tried hinting at this in prior comments, but throughout the show it's become clear that Athrun's skills as a pilot have also seriously degraded. As mentioned in a prior comment where you mistook my example of Armory 1 instead of the Fall of Janus 7, Athrun fought much better against the Chaos and the Abyss while piloting a Zaku, although he was also fighting together with Yazek and Durka. Ever since getting the Savior, Athrun has been far less effective than he should have been. At the end of Seed, Athrun and Kira were of comparable skill, so if Kira is able to effortlessly defeat him in the Freedom, then Athrun should be able to defeat them without too much difficulty, even by himself. But the closest he has ever gotten was when helping to disarm the Gaia, when he and Shin disabled it near the extended facility. Another interesting thing to note, Athrun has not entered Seed mode since Destiny started. I think the implication is supposed to be the reason for it is likely mental, but the show has not explicitly stated anything yet.
We don't really understand what Seed mode is other than a super mode. We don't know what it takes to get into it. People just sort of go like, oh, and I'm in Seed mode now. Sometimes they shock, sometimes they're just fighting, or desperation, but we don't really understand what the Seed mode is in the first place. So the rules of the Seed of the nutting is, not completely known.
I mean, there's also the element that we don't know if the Savior is on par with the Freedom.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't think evidence of fight is a measure of ability of the pilot, especially when one of the two pilots is the main character of the show who always has to be right and unbeatable.
Yeah.
A guy who literally survives a nuke to the face in a spacesuit. Theta's issue with Kira seemingly being unstoppable/untouchable is a common criticism of Destiny, but I too take issue with the assertion that it's because Kira is the main character. Thing I just said. In Season 1, Kira either needed to be bailed out multiple times, or his mobile suit took a beating. And I think, okay, that's why these have different notation things. So I think I've just got a long note of every time Kira may have failed, which I don't think we need to read, because that would save a lot of time. Just taking
Season 2, though. Season 2, he beats everybody, disarms everybody, and never loses. So, he makes mistakes, but not.
When here's the thing. This is a common trope that I've often thrown out. I think maybe not for Kira, but specifically in situations like this. When Kira fails, I'll parse this list down. When the writer determines he needs to fail.
Yeah, pretty much.
When Kira becomes less of a character and more of a writer's contrivance. So there, compress that list down real quick. In connection with my earlier comment about Shin, he realizes that Owl must be an extended since he knows Stella, but he never demonstrates any thoughts or comparisons that he is a victim of Blue Cosmos, just like Stella, and doesn't care at all about that when he kills him, but just goes on killing people. The only real difference between Owl and Stella is that Shin cares about Stella as a person and not Owl. So it's perfectly justified for him or anyone else to kill Owl for what he is currently doing. But if it was Stella, I don't believe Shin would have been willing to kill her because he cares about her.
So if he has the hearts for somebody, it's okay not to kill them. But if he doesn't have the hearts for them, you die.
It's not demonstratable knowledge, though.
Yeah, true.
We know that he fought Gaia when Stella was in it because he didn't know Stella was in it because he didn't really know Stella at the time.
Yeah.
At the same time, Owl is out here trying to kill people, and the only knowledge he has of Owl is handing Stella off to him. So, I would argue that if a person's trying to kill you, you're probably going to fight them back. I feel like this is a false argument. You're attributing it to him because he remembers who Owl is from that one time that they met, versus I promised to protect Stella before and spent a long time with her. He's fighting Kira, isn't he? He knows who Kira is.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is that he doesn't even remember Stella from the first meeting that they had, that he accidentally grabbed her boobs, right? In the plant. So it's like, you know, if he would have remembered, he also would have remembered the Owl and Sting because they were there as well. But he doesn't remember them except the only thing he remembers is Stella, Stella, Stella. That's his thing. That's his focus.
He promised to protect her. Literally, she also got that little manipulation where she's on the bed. He's like, protect me, shit. Because, you know, she's dying, as it seems. But, again, he knows Kira. He's fighting Kira. This isn't... You can't one-for-one this without Owl and Stella, when we have literally one-for-one should be Owl and Kira. Seed always made use of flashbacks to prior scenes to show what a character is currently thinking about, but Destiny does overuse it, and I think is partially a result of it having a much shorter development time compared to Season 1, which I think we talked about before, or you've probably made in a comment before. Somebody told us that, and I don't remember who. Just going to assume it was you. Mm-hmm. It is also very ungrateful of the Minerva to label the Archangel the enemy immediately after Kira stopped a Morisume from destroying the bridge with its beam rifle, but it does make sense to label them as enemies even though they're trying to stop the fighting because Kira might still choose to intervene until the battle completely ends, which would make the Zaft forces targets too.
Also, one thing we didn't remember is that both the Saku pilots, Luna Maria and Ray, are either wounded or possibly even dead.
No, Luna Maria is possibly wounded. Ray is fine. She's the one that gets like kamikazed, and they're pulling her out from the thing. She doesn't look wounded, but she's like, and you see the stuff shocking around her. So, no visible injury, implied injury. Ray is still shooting with one arm missing off of his thing, so he's still good. To be fair to the "it only takes one hit to take out" comment, Destiny has shown that Kira is a much superior pilot to everyone else, though Shin may be approaching his level of skill since he was able to dodge Kira's beam saber strike. This also ties in with Atherin's trading skill as a pilot, which is part of the reason why people view him as being character assassinated by Destiny, as he both seemingly forgot most of his lessons from Seed, and is currently a much worse pilot than Season 1 ended. We already talked about this. Essentially, he was also in Seed mode when he dodged Kira's attack, so if you're saying that Kira is so good that seeded people, I mean, he is the ultimate coordinator. Yeah. So I guess if you're saying that, then I guess I don't fucking care anymore. I mean, I don't care. I don't care if you make Kira so good that he's defeating people in Seed mode in his normal mode. Then he's just like, why doesn't Goku fight in the tournaments anymore? You know, it's like, oh, because he's better than everyone. I don't know. I also find it really stupid for Atherin to keep trying to fight Kira when Kira is trying to go and help Kigali when she flies into the middle of the battle with no support and with all sides potentially willing to shoot her down, except for those orb soldiers who do believe her. You know, arguably, I would find it stupid for Kigali to fly into the middle of the battle with no support. You know, take the middle of your sentence and put it in the front, and then stop blaming Atherin, who's been right the whole time.
I mean, she had done that before, and the first time maybe it would have worked, but this time It's too late.
You know, you probably should have done. Flashback to the beach scene. If the Archangel had gone back to Orb, this battle likely would have still happened, and most of it, if not all of the Orb forces, would have been killed if the Minerva had not been sunk by that Murasume's pointing a beam rifle at its bridge.
Maybe.
You have no idea.
But then,
you could have gotten back there. Orb could have sent a message for the Orb forces to return, and this battle wouldn't have happened. It depends on how long negotiations or whatever would have happened back at Orb would have taken. Also, I don't know. It's entirely dependent on how fast Yuna gets killed. Well,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, he seems like he's holding a let's stay back, send everyone else to the front kind of a tactic. But if this argument is like, well, the fight would have still happened, and it would have happened without the Minerva there, right? So, if it was just, sorry, not without Minerva, without the Archangel. So, if it was just Minerva versus the forces, it really seems like the Minerva would have gone down.
Yeah. No, it was heavily damaged, so.
But even if it did win, then it would be how much damage Orb would take before it retreats. I don't know. I still don't think that you're wrong. Not you, Fenrir. That this fight would still have happened if they'd gone directly to Orb. Because remember, you're forgetting the wasted time about going to space. Because again, you're prioritizing, this is the thing I made in my notes, identity theft over the war. I don't think it's a fair criticism of Kira to say if he hadn't kidnapped Kigali, none of this would have happened, as Kigali could have regained her gumption. There is nothing to support that as a possibility, as it took Kira kidnapping and talking to her to really get her to realize that the path Orb was on wasn't that it was particularly best for the country, and the Syrians had isolated her and already essentially either seized control of the government via the other ministers, or were manipulating her into furthering their agenda. As I've said previously, a significant problem with the show is that we do not know exactly how the Orb government makes decisions, and we do not know whether Kigali could single-handedly cause Orb to withdraw from the alliance with her power alone, or if she would even be capable of persuading the other ministers to side with her. If Kigali does not have the unilateral power to withdraw Orb from the alliance, then going back to Orb would be a mistake, and trying to directly influence the Orb soldiers to stop fighting is a better option. However, because the show has made the workings of the Orb government an important plot point and the source of conflict without explaining properly what power Kigali actually has, we have no way of understanding what Kigali's options are in this moment to actually try and stop Orb from participating in the war.
I agree with Fenris. It's basically been the bulk of my arguments up to this point. But except for the fact that doing the same thing twice doesn't work, and we know it's not going to work, so at least trying something different is, viable. If they go to Orb, it doesn't work, at least, we tried that. We tried stopping the battle. Didn't work. Let's try something else, right?
I would argue that they have displayed that Kigali has the ability to make unilateral decisions. All the ministers, back in the argument very early in the season, where all the ministers are trying to convince her that siding with Orb is the correct decision. If she was sorry, if I said the wrong country, I don't care. I don't care. If it was just a position of making her agree with them for the sake of argument, I don't think they would have bothered. If they had the ability, if it was a voting-based system where they already had all the ministers on their side, they would just make whatever decisions they needed to do without her. They're trying to convince her for a reason, and I have to believe that reason is she has enough authority to countermand their individual decisions.
Yeah, but eventually they just did it with her in the country when she was getting married, because she was getting married the day the signing.
Yeah, they changed her mind.
Of the treaty.
Like I said, she has the ability to countermand the decisions, which it's important that they get her on her side. Without her there, no one can countermand their decisions. Otherwise, if they had the power to just ironically, they have power to democratically just make decisions as a group, and they have enough ministers on their side, which seems like they do, they can just power through her. But it appears like she has the authority to countermand their choices. Like maybe she has a representative veto or something. So her presence would change the course of events. So kidnapping her was detrimental to Orb because it removed their only obstacle. Because again, you have to take what you know from what's happening in that scene and try to apply it to government as you know it. So why would they do this if they could get around her in the first place? Must mean they can't get around her in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wasn't sure
Anything
whether...
else?
Sorry.
Anything else?
Yeah, I was in the middle of saying stuff.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. I thought you were saying, hold on a second, I need a minute. I wasn't sure whether you guys agreed with my comments saying Kigali had been character assassinated, but it seems like you do agree that she has been assassinated by everything that has happened so far. I wonder if you agree that Athrun has been similarly ruined, as that is another common criticism of Destiny.
Not really. Because he's the one who's still making sense.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, up to this point, yeah. It could turn out that he's on the wrong side, but we don't have enough evidence for that. So
it doesn't really matter if he's on the wrong side, because we're judging him on the now and not in the future. And right now, Zaft is still doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, what is it? The Simpsons, the USSR thing. You know, the NATO guy pushes the button and all the Soviet Union stuff pops back up out of the ground. Like, if it turns out we're still Patrick Zola faction the entire time, well, we can't be judged for the fact we got tricked. Getting tricked is getting tricked.
Yeah.
Lacus became a powerful political force by the end of Season 1. Yes, she has never been an elected official, but she used her existing influence as an idol, and from her involvement in other activities like organizing the Jaina 7 Memorial, she didn't, her dad did, to then actively start spreading a message that the plants needed to find a way to end the war and coexist with naturals, which is what Mir's doing now. At the same time, Zola had already abused his power by hiding the true nature of Spitbreak before it was approved and used the Justice Department to arrest the other democratically elected council members who had been allies of Siegel Klein under the justification that they were aiding Klein after he leaked the true details of Spitbreak, which Zola knew had to be false charges. Except that they weren't, because he did. Lacus spent... Sorry, my mid comments. Lacus spent all her time after giving Kira the freedom, organizing her followers, and gaining more and more support from the people of the plants. And that war's conclusion, she was viewed as one of the people most responsible for both ending the war and stopping it from spiraling out of control. Of course, she's obtained hero status and has a significant amount of popular and political support she could use. People don't just have popular and political support by becoming politicians, but by other actions they can perform that have lasting impact, like how Eisenhower became president after serving as the head of the Allied forces in World War II.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've been saying. In fact, she has so much political power that literally Durando says, I needed to create a fake Lacus because I needed that power.
Except, again, he's not using her political power. He's using her idol power.
For political ends.
Yeah. I'm just saying, though, she's not, like... Okay, you know how Lacus goes to the ship, and you have all those Zaft people on that ship that are clearly in positions of power that she has direct influence over. He's not using that power that Lacus has, whatever's left of the Siegel Klein faction or whatnot. He's using the I'm a popular idol that people like to listen to, that the general population understands. Not the these are the people in high political positions that I have authority over because they respect my position from the last war and that I will say the right things. Those are two different versions of the same person. with 2 different powers to affect people. Janus 7 Memorial Glacus and Siegel Klein Leader post Klein death are 2 different points of authority. Again, baseball singer does not control the baseball game. But the umpire has a lot of authority at that baseball game. Those 2 people talk to completely different people. The singer talks to a bunch of influential people on the behalf of, I'm a popular singer and people like to listen to my music. The umpire talks to people who like run the game and make the rules and has to affect all the players.
The point is, I think the Lacus went beyond her power as...
No. That's not my point about Lacus. My point is about how Mir and Lacus have different points of authority, and Mir is only using the idle points of authority, whereas Lacus has actual political authority due to the events of the last war, and that's not how Mir is being used.
No. Anything else?
You don't have to keep asking me anything else. Either say, hey, I'm done with the comments, and I'll stop doing the comments. I mean, I mean this comment. Or I have to use the bathroom, and we can take a break.
No. I don't want anything else that you're going to
I understand, but there was like no pause in our talking. You're asking anything else when I was going to go on to the next thing. Acting without thinking or acting stupidly is in character for Shin.
It seems so.
I disagree. Name one stupid thing other than shooting Kigali that he's done lately.
Well, he's also trying to take on
Okay,
Gaia
I will argue.
Himself.
Well, no, that's not dumb. They're in Gundams. They're both in. He's like literally in the top of the line model.
But they were supposed to cooperate with Aethron, and he says and they could have won that battle, but they didn't because Aethron literally calls him out and slaps him in the face twice.
Wait, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the last time where he gets Stella and brings her back to the ship.
No, I'm talking about
because they fought the Gaia and won. So it's like, what are you talking about?
When they were fighting, in fact, when you called them out on actually going and continue to attack the base, the Alliance base, and I was defending him because he was,
I must be wrong. I'm going to cut you off just to say I'm wrong because I had a different example in my mind that I thought we were going to go to. So the fact that I came up with a different example than the one you did for Shin being dumb must mean that he's dumb. That's already
we have more than
2 points again. Yeah, 2 points against.
Yeah.
Also, while it may seem like I'm going to bat for the show, I still believe Destiny is vastly inferior in quality to Season 1, and I dislike a lot of choices they made for the previous characters, but being able to watch it after all this time, I am picking up on details that I didn't before that tie in with the overarching plot of the show. Also, Seed Freedom did address many of the issues I still had with Destiny by the end of the show.
Since we haven't watched that, we don't know, and we will make that determination when we get there.
Well, yeah, because we have the OVA series after this, and then Seed Freedom is the movie. So, finally, Theta made a definitive statement about Destiny while watching this episode that I will hope he will take back after it is shown to be proven false.
Which is?
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay. Theta makes a lot of definitive statements. We both make a lot of definitive statements. It's part of what we do here.
Well, here's the thing: is like
let me finish. Ferris, if you want us to know what the definitive statement is, please tell us what the definitive statement is. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean that's what I was about to say. Just today, for example, when we're recording this, the Mushoku Tensei, one of my solo reactions went up, and I was reading the comments people posted to that. And you know what they do? They put time codes. So the time code, and then they'll make their comment. So like, what did I say that you're responding to this? Clicks, because your time codes are also links. So it just automatically goes to the part and like, oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Real easy reference points. So, because we get a lot of comments in the comment section on the YouTube side, which is just, that's fucking dumb. How could you say that? This is an hour-long video. Could you be a little bit more succinct? Give me a time code.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Fender. That's real dumb. What are you talking about? I'm talking about people on a post in the YouTube comment section. That's real dumb. How could you say that? And it's like, which thing? which thing about the last hour of my video are you talking about as dumb? Is it the whole thing? Because if so, just say, this whole thing was dumb, and I'd know, okay. But anyway. Yeah, that's all the comments.
And I have nothing more to do but try to watch this episode.
Alright, well, let's go ahead and hop on into it.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
on top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered.
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
ですから私見てまいりますわ。プラントの様子を道を探すにも手がかりは必
You
要
sure we
です。
shouldn't, like, take a golly back to Orb?
君はプラントには
大丈夫ですキラ。
Don't worry, Kira, I've given Kigali advice. First, make a decision, then act. You should know you were listening in the stall next to us.
Yeah.
They flashed back to that, so I bring it up.
Yeah.
Which was dumb, by the way.
なんだ
That's what you should do if you can't come up with a decision at all.
Yeah.
キラ。
やっぱり
Not when you have the clearly right decision in front of you.
一緒に
いえ、それ
I
は
don't think necessarily it's a right decision, but it's better than what they were doing already, so.
Going to Orb is the only decision. Not leaving Orb would have been the right decision.
大丈夫ですわ。必ず帰ってきます。あなたの元へ。
As opposed to who else.
本当に気をつけて
But that other guy,
We know that
Yeah.
you're in a relationship. You don't have to, like, to me.
そうか。それでそのシャトルを奪った者たちのその後の足取りは。
現在グラスゴー隊が専任で
what are those columns anyway? Those look very weird. It's supposed to be lights, but I guess that's what they are. They're just decorative lights. Yeah, it looks like a little like a the head of a giant mobile suit.
Not
It
to
is
me.
infinite.
Like I said, it's a duck shape if you think it is.
どこの誰だろうが、そんなことをする理由は一つだろう。彼女の姿を使ってのプラント国内の混乱だ。は、連中が行動を起こす前、変な騒ぎになる前に取り押さえたい。頼むぞ。
は心得ました
だが、奴らが離れたというのは幸いか。ラックス・クライン、
Perhaps.
そしてキラ・ヤマト。
I didn't think to check to see if there was even a king or a queen on that board, because it did not look like there was. It looked
No.
like, let's see, I saw a rook and, castle.
Yeah, there were knights, rooks, and maybe a bishop.
It's definitely
Not
not
really
enough
sure.
pieces. Like, the game's been played for a while,
Yeah.
and they've lost a few.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I would think it'd be a tell if there was any pawns left. Well, I mean, the thing about a pawn, you know, you get to the other side of the board,
Yeah.
you can change it to another piece. That would reflect some sort of strategy at play.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that if there was, like, few pawns, but only a couple of pawns, you could, like, figure out who in the show is a pawn. And then, well, because I think Atherin could be considered a pawn.
Yeah.
Because he's clearly
True.
being put into a position to change into something else.
Mhm.
Or maybe even Mir. Well, if the
Probably.
plan is is not to always have her be as Lacus.
I think that actually is a plan.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think Durandal has to be smart enough to know that that ploy can't last forever. That you have to do something with Mir after that.
Or you can do something with Lacus, in which case, no Lacus, Mir, like you said, if Lacus is not there anymore, then she will always be Mir. I mean, Mir will always be Lacus. Yeah, those are stones. It's,
Well, apparently a bunch of pawns. Hey, it's my boy. I appeared in this season.
彼らが
he
いつ
smiles.
なぜ出会ってしまったのかは
I don't know when or how they met.
夢ポット
So we're flashing back to season 1. when they rescued her from the Janus 7 memorial site.
Oh, does he know that Kira is a super coordinator? I mean, Rowan knew
Who?
that he was,
I don't know who Rowan is, so...
what's his name?
Rao?
Rao.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what was wrong.
I figured it was a naming thing, so it was like, who are we talking about?
Yeah.
Well, no, because remember, Rao didn't know at first. He figured it out later.
Yeah, but by the time they
He
confronted
he knew the guy who's piloting the strike was Kira. He did not know that Kira was also the super coordinator. He had to figure that out as time went on. So it might be that knowing who Kira is and knowing who the project thing was about are two different paths of information. Now that Rao was associated with Durandal in some way, no telling.
Yeah.
Remember, Rao was associated with Azrael behind the scenes for like half of season 1, and we didn't find that out until the end.
Yeah.
Because like he just name drops Azrael at some point.
当時の最高評議会議長シーゲル・クラインの娘にしてパトリック・ザラの息子アスラン・ザラの定められた相手だった。
そういえば彼女
And yeah, I'm also going to say another fuck you to everybody in the audience who's saying that these two never had like a romantic connection, that it was all just arranged. No, they had a romantic connection. Fuck you.
They also look much younger. I guess it's either the change in the
That's
animation.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago in universe. I mean, how many years ago it took them to animate a new season? I don't know. I was going to say, no, on my luck, watching the scene from now, Atherin's like, I actually never had a romantic interest in her. You know? I have the habit of calling things right before I'm proven wrong. There's Flay's dad. So, I am having regrets. Maybe not so much for you, because you're getting to see season 1 again, more so than you got from the movie.
Yeah.
I was excited for this episode because I thought we were going to get a lot of information. All I'm getting is more season 1. I watched this. I watched this and the movie already. As it turns out, it's because we had a minute-long conversation on the hallway when I could have been getting into the mobile suit and saving people.
Yeah.
I remember having a whole note section about maybe Kira's best wasn't actually good enough. Right now, Kira's sitting here thinking, I'm gonna cuck this guy.
I don't think that was his plan.
Gonna get kicked in the nuts!
It does sound like somebody got kicked in the nuts.
What if they didn't tell him? Somebody ran up, kicked him in the nuts, put a microphone in his face.
Oh my god.
But it's actually also part emotional pain. Like, why did you do this? I thought we were friends.
僕だってコーディネーターなんだし、アスランはとても仲の良かった友達なんだ。
アスラン。
アスランを知ってるんですか？
アスランザラは
My fiance.
私がいずれ結婚する方ですわ。
やっぱりダメだよ。こんなの。
Yep. So as it turns out, I was super excited for a clip show. Props to him, though. They got me really excited with that scene of the ghost Rao.
キラ様、どうなさいましたの？
黙って一緒に来てください。静かに。
Apparently, this is very important because this is Durandal dwelling on how they met, you know?
Is it?
Yeah, he's basically because he's asking where did they meet?
No,
Where
I
did
get
Lacus and
that. I
Kira
get
meet?
that, but I don't know that he knows this information. This could be for us, the audience.
Yeah, I know. That's the confusing part of it.
That's what I'm saying. Is I don't know this is important. I wish. Okay, maybe this is the part. God damn it. The next time on showed us the Talia stuff.
Yeah.
すべてのものは生まれ、やがて死んでいく。ただそれだけのことだ。
Yeah, I mean, he gave us that at the end of the season.
だから何を望もうが願おうが無意味だと。
いやいや。
Okay, wait. There's a chessboard between you two. You picked up a chess piece. Why are you sitting not on the same? Why are you sitting on the same side?
どれだけどう生きようとも。誰もが知っていることだが忘れている。
In case you forgot everyone that died in season 1.
私だけは忘れない。決してそれを忘れない。こんな
When Rao
私の
killed his
せいに
family.
価値があるとしたら。
Or his dad, rather.
知った時から片時も
Oh,
それを
his
忘
clone.
れたことがない
No, his dad.
ということだけだろうがね。
His dad was in the house. His dad did not survive the fire.
I know, but he is a clone of his.
Yeah, when you said his clone,
Oh, wait,
his dad was not a
whoa.
clone of him.
君とて望んでいた。
Just those are Rao's.
まるで
Yeah, see.
何かに抗うかのように。
Rao was taking pills. It's a question I had all throughout season 1.
Yeah, so we got them from Durandal?
That looks like. Presumably, I would say that Rao just never told anybody he was a coordinator, and Durandal kept a secret.
我らはどうすればいい。
Not coordinator,
So he was
clone.
part of the
Rao
project.
never told anyone he was a clone, and that Durandal kept a
Yeah.
secret. I hate that they're like mixing in the Talia shit in the middle of the clips. Because you know what's doing for me, and I hate to point this out as the way that I watch shows. I'm losing interest, and then Talia, losing interest.
So that means, well, I think that means that Durandal was part of Hibiki's program.
Might have been.
大事な友達にもらった
I don't have any evidence one way or the other. I can't even. I'm having a
Well,
hard
then,
time
Rao.
like making suppositions because of all the flashbacks. Goodbye, Haw's boyfriend, whatever your name was, I forgot. Even though you were actually a main character for a while.
Oh,
People will complain about this scene.
そんなことは私は知らない。私は私のことしか知りはしない。
wait, if that's Rao, then
Rao's
that
son?
means that
迷路
Ray
に行
is
くようなもの
Rao's son? Or climbing, it doesn't have to be a clone, he could just be Rao's son.
道は常にいくつも前にあり、我らは選び、ただたどる。
Maybe Talia is Rao's wife? And they had a son together, and that's why Durandal and Talia are so close?
pretty close.
また知るために。
We saw her crawling out of his bed. Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
仕方がないの。もう決めてしまったの。私は子供が欲しいの。だからプラントのルールに従うわ。だからもうあなたとは一緒に
Because he's not a coordinator? If he's not a coordinator, he could have been on the Earth facilities. But how did he get into the plants?
誰が決めたというのだろう。
Oh no, remember, because the problem with like 4th generation coordinators can't have kids or having a real hard time having kids. So maybe there's like a whole genetics thing that you can only be with people that are.
So that means Ray is her son?
Maybe.
With Rao?
This is all supposition. I'm trying to put the evidence I have together.
行くよ
I'm just saying there's no reason to think that Ray has to be a clone. He could just be a naturally born kid. Well, as naturally
Yeah.
born as coordinators are, which is to say not so naturally, but
戦いは終わりませんわ
でも
But then why would he be in that facility?
もうできない
because one of them works there.
何も
Yeah,
しな
but
かったら
this is the kind of thing you don't bring your kid to work kind of situation.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, know what I mean?
also coordinators have to have the artificial chamber things anyway. That's different from being cloned. Oh, you're talking about the Earth facility. Sorry, I'm talking about the coordinator facility.
Because remember how Ray reacted to it in a
Could
very
just be
negative
similar.
sense.
Oh. Sorry, it's our 2 seconds of new stuff. Our goodbye handshake. That's what I do every time I break up with somebody. That's not Rao.
No, that's some
それは
random
本
dude.
当に選んだことか。
That's Shin? No, that is.
Hey.
This really feeling like a Macross F situation.
選んだのは
You know, Cheryl in the streets.
ラクス。
はい。
I don't know. This really feels like it's going to be a rewatch situation trying to figure out, which I'm even more pissed about now, knowing how much of this is recap. Also hate this scene. Hey, Athrun, all that shit I've been keeping behind your back that I'm just not going to tell you out of the blue for no reason. All that shit that kept me apart from you, relationship status, so I actually fell in love with another guy, that in fact, I've just told you all the time. As proven by the fact I'm just going to tell you right now.
ではご自分でご覧になったものは敵だというのなら私を撃ちますかザフトのアスランザラ
That was your fiance. You guys fucking told
選
me.
び得なかった道の先にこそ本当に望んだものがあったのではないか。
そうして考えている間に時はなくなるぞ。
What, do you have the clone problem too? Are you a clone of somebody?
選ばなかった道などなかったと同じ。
いや、アスラ。
Is he saying basically all this was destined?
Well,
I guess
he
Destiny.
would. That's Rao. I mean, also Rao had the whole Destiny plot.
Yeah. But is
Rao's
this
weird
is
thing
it,
about it, if anyone can choose how everyone else goes out, it's me. It's like, I don't know why. Nothing special about you, Rao, other than that you're a clone. Because even the person you're a clone of was not important. X marks the spot.
本気でおっしゃってるんですか。ナチュラルをすべて滅ぼすと。
Please get back to the Durandal, Talia, Rao stuff.
yeah.
I feel like this episode has like 7 minutes of actually important information.
いくら振り返ってみても、もう戻れはしない。
Not without a time
何も変え
machine
ることなどできない。
or a bird band.
発進してください
Speaking of Macross, this does feel like a global report.
ラクス。はい。いいのか。お前の婚約者だろ。
She's a bitch.
我らは常に見えぬ未来へと進むしかないのだ。
Thank you, Durandal, for your vague observations. Do something. Do something with the information you're giving us.
キラ君、君にとってもここは生まれ故郷だろう。親父。
Be keys.
私の子だ。最高の技術で最高のコーディネーターとするんだ。
それは誰のため？あなたのため？最高のコーディネーター。
Are we to find out that Ray is also the ultimate coordinator?
人は常に進んできたんだ。
That there was more than one?
そこにこそ幸せがあるからだ。クローンは違法です。
No, I'm talking about Rao. Or making Rao. That's Rao's dad, and Biki.
使わんでどうする。欲しいのだろう、研究資金が。今ではないいつか、ここではないどこか。
Again,
Yeah.
where does Ray fit in all of this?
I mean, I'm gonna guess son.
For whose?
Oh, Rao and Talia's. I have no idea. I have no idea. Just the way I want it to be. You got no evidence. Like maybe she went to the facility and that Rao's, or maybe Rao's dad's DNA is DNA that was used. Again, the problem is that if there's a throw line between the flashbacks dealing with Durandal, Rao, and Rey, and this stuff, it's complicated by the fact that this stuff is just season 1. There's already a throw line in that it's what happened. Also, it's like, what, the third scene of Talia in like a bathing suit?
Yeah. And putting them together, Rao, Talia, and Rey.
Right. The confusing bit is that who's that other guy that she was leaving Durandal for, so that she could have a kid. Hey, you people, Rao was the one who instigated that. I guess Rao and Patrick.
救いはないと。
救いとは何だ。
Are these holograms?
I legit thought the chess game was going to be hologram. I don't know. That would be really dumb if it was.
Then why is he pressing a button then?
Something. I'm waiting for something else to happen.
ならば次は間違えぬと確かに言えるのか君は。誰が決めたというのだ。何を。
ならば私が変える。すべてを。戻れぬというのなら初めから正しい道を。アデニン、グアニン、シトシン、チミン。己のできること。己のすべきこと。
Well, remember last episode? We were just there.
Yeah, I think he has a messianic, like, I'm the only one who can change the course of history, right? Kind of thing. Is that the Archangel? No, that's not the Archangel. That's
no, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're memories, not holograms, because that would be stupid.
No.
That'd be evidence of what you've been up to in your own room. Well, there's the king thing I was talking about. Well, that episode was worth 3 or 4 minutes of watching. I think the thing is that that's our indication that what Rao was up to last season, Durandal is trying to accomplish a better way for. I think Durandal is
wanted to kill everybody. Well, Rao wanted to kill everybody.
Yeah. That's why I said a better way for. Because there was, sorry, I can't remember. I'll probably have it in my notes. So there was a line, something about if you can't, because it seems like Rao's point in that memory was trying to start over again. So he's trying to take everyone out to have a new beginning. And Durandal's point there seems like, well, if you can't start again, you can make a new starting point. And it seems like that's what he's trying to do. So the difference between the flip coin of Rao wants to start over again, and Durandal says, well, we can make a new starting point. So I think that's what he's trying to do. And obviously Rao's we can start over again was from destruction, so obviously not great. But it doesn't seem like there's anything inherently wrong or evil with Durandal's new starting point. Oh, damn it.
He said, I think she's gonna die in this episode.
Oh, no, not that. I'm not going to talk about that.
次回機動戦士ガンダムシードデスティニー刹那の夢闇夜を越えて飛べインパルス
Oh, he's gonna return her.
Yeah, he has to. No, I was saying damn it because one of the last things Tadaka said to Amagi was that if you can't do what I'm asking you to do, then you go join the Archangel and their crew and you figure out what to do. And I swear I saw Amagi on the Archangel crew on one of the side, off to the side. I was like, God damn it. That's all they did. Just join the Archangel crew. The people I have the most problem with so far. And yeah, no, the conversation between Shin and the Doctor regarding Stella, he said that the Earth people or the Naturals have way more knowledge about the drugs and everything that they've been using, and she's gonna die without them. So it seemed obvious that she was gonna go back to them somehow. I just couldn't think about how they were gonna get them back there, or even if Neo and group was gonna take them back, because they've already been ordered to write them out. So that just seems like what's gonna be happening there. I will also say that they have lied to us already about the next time on. I have no idea if that is all that's going to happen. This is like a Disney trailer at this point.
Yeah. It's just, the thing is, okay, I know that Kira Chin wants to protect Stella, but he's sending her to be reprogrammed and be an enemy again.
But alive.
Well, until he has to fight her and kill her. Or someone else.
Unless he doesn't have to. I mean, this is the thing that came up in the comments, right? You don't remember? I'm talking about the whole Fenrir thing. I'm talking about if Shin wouldn't kill Stella if she was fighting against him, even though he would kill Aul. Right?
Yeah, but someone else could do it, right?
Yeah.
Athram would do it.
I mean, it is a matter of what's more important right now, right? Is it more important that she survives right now than dying right now? It's more important that she's alive right now. We can handle other bridges as we go across them.
Yeah, but that she's gonna. That's the thing. It's like
she remembered him once.
Shin is handing her over to people who are willing to enslave other people and have been trying to kill them all for the last 29 episodes, 28 episodes.
Again, the alternative is either kill her yourself or let her die a slow, painful death. Or the possibility that the people who made her can save her. At the risk of, again, further down the road, whatever. But that is, again, further down the road. I think you take your chances with whatever you got. That or pull the trigger now.
Sacer, she forgets about him because she gets reprogrammed.
Again, your problem is you're considering what happens to her after they get her. I think you're thinking too far ahead. Right now, it's she's dying painfully. What do we do?
And Ray's supposed to be, but also how they contact Neo as well.
I have no idea. Well, maybe that's why Ray is there. Maybe she's like, I gotta find a way to contact Neo, and Ray's like, get out. I don't know. They showed us Ray for a reason. And I had no context for why he's talking to Shin and the door's closing. But maybe that's it.
Yeah. Whatever it is, I don't know. This is becoming such a mess. Because this episode could have explained a lot. And it's like, oh, we're going to hint that the Durandal couldn't have a baby with Talia. And so she went and had a baby with with Rao.
Maybe. It was another guy.
Maybe.
Again.
But then somebody that looks like Neo, has a mask, walked in, and it was Ray, huddled in a corner crying in the facility somewhere. So, yeah. It doesn't seem like they was like,
Neo. That looked like Rao. It was Rao who walked in.
Yeah, so maybe the baby wasn't Rao's. Rao's rescues him and brings him back to Durandal.
That's why I said Recross F, because it was literally Cheryl in the alleyway getting saved by Grace. It's like, I don't know. The problem is the episode had the promise of 5 times the material it gave us.
Yeah, they went again. They abused the.
Oh, I didn't ever finish my thought. I don't think I stopped. And it said, I wish, and then a new scene popped up, and I didn't finish. I wish shows would just assume that you have seen everything that came before it. Yeah. You don't have to flash back to us.
Every single time.
Ever.
Yeah.
Preferably, we're so in-depth with the characters that will know what their motivation is when they do a thing. I don't know about you. I don't, every time I do something important, think back visually to a time that I was doing a thing that inspired me to do this.
If you use a flashback judiciously, they can have a great import. It's like, this is where we tie things.
We
but
are
this is just
literally in Naruto levels of flashback. We're flashing back to the same episode that we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't have done that here because obviously this episode had no content to flash back to, but it literally flashed back to the end of last episode.
Also, does that mean that Talia recognizes Ray? It's like, oh, I had a baby.
Of course they do.
Somebody.
We know that they know each other.
Yeah, but did Ray and Talia don't act like mother and son?
They're serving on the same ship together. They're doing that military respectful thing. The same thing that Patrick does to Athrun in season 1, where he calls him dad. He goes, "What'd you say to me? I'm sorry, sir." They're doing that thing.
Yeah, but at least Athrun was like, "Yeah, you're my father," and I recognize. And Sala's like, "Don't do that to me." I would think that they would have private, like, apart from everyone else, is like, yeah, okay,
maybe they do. Maybe they do. The fact is that, well, yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
They can't show it because they have too much main stuff to deal with, and the fact we're still covering that Ray is doing stuff that they're already not showing us, but they're using those times to hint to us. I think it would get lost in the wash if they started showing us Ray and Talia together, that you wouldn't then suspect the stuff of just Ray wandering around, because we're already getting other Talia and Ray stuff.
Then how did Ray end up in that facility? As a 5-year-old, 10-year-old, whatever.
I don't think that was that facility. Again, I think it's similarity is that what's Ray's problem is.
Or a facility, right?
Because again, I think if Ray is Ray is a coordinator kid, which means that he comes from like an incubator pod, and that those things are just resembling something familiar to him. It's either that or Ray is actually an extended. If Durandal was willing to cover for Rao's pills, I don't know why he kept them. Again, the idea that would be a hologram is just like, oh, all the evidence of your guilt is here in your room. Like, why? Destroy all the evidence. Make that just a memory. Durandal's a smart guy, it seems. Like, I don't want the proof that he's a villain to turn out just to be something straightforward that he should have gotten rid of. The fact that he was holding Rao's pills, or like you said, maybe he made Rao's pills, that maybe he actually knows more about the extended than Earth people do, that he's done enough of his own research that maybe he can nullify the effects. It's the element, though, that we've never seen Ray taking any pills or anything. Like, before Rao is shown to be a clone, we had multiple scenes, I don't think were in the movie, of Rao, like, huddled up in pain, taking pills all the time. And so we had build-up for that. We have had no build-up of Ray needs, like, medication or anything.
No. Let's go back. Okay. Talia breaks up his relationship with Durandal, and they seem to have come back, I guess. Temporarily, anyway.
So it's only about having
because
kids.
Having a kid, right? She wants to have a kid. What happened that she no longer has a child? Because that child ended up in this facility. If Ray is the child, what happened? Did she give up the kid?
You have to. You kind of have to give up your kid. That's why I think maybe that's the context of flashing back to the Beakies, where Hibiki's like, "Where's my son? Give me back my son." Is that you have to take them out of the womb to then artificially incubate them to make them coordinators.
Okay, yeah. Okay, but once he's like...
So maybe Talia for a long time thought that... maybe Talia doesn't know that Ray is her son. I think he is. Because... I'm thinking... Let me think this out here. That Talia may have had a son, or a kid, and she was told that they died. And that's how Ray winds up there. But then how is she so cool with Durandal? I don't... Maybe she just goes back to Durandal because the past relationship, not sticking with that guy. Our son died. I have postmortem depression, not sticking with that relationship anymore. Go back to my former lover, now that I'm not worried about a kid anymore. Now I don't want to have a kid anymore because I have all that depressive thoughts about what happened to my previous kid. Might also explain all of her staring out into the storm, the moments that I was explaining before had different meanings.
Yeah.
No. Well, 'cause then if that was true, well, then does Rey know? Because remember all the times we've talked about how Rey looks at Durandal with those like wonder eyes.
Like a father figure.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, we've explained it multiple different ways, but they could. But then no, because that was Rao that takes him out. So why?
I mean, they seem to be together.
Unless this is like one of my two gay dads relationship sort of thing. He would look at Rey and not Rey. He would look at Rao and Durandal the same way. Because, well, maybe it is my two gay dads. Because they're the only two people we see playing chess, and Rey is there with them. So maybe they raised Rey together, and then Talia comes into the picture later, and that's why he doesn't regard Talia as much. But Durandal wants to make sure Durandal wants to make sure his son's taken care of, and Talia is loyal to him as a former lover. So he's sure that he's safe in her care. No, I'm not saying that she knows. I'm saying that that Durandal is put him there because Talia's there. Not because Talia knows, but because he trusts Talia. Because maybe Talia's up with his plans, but not knowing about Rey.
Maybe. Also, the fact that they're together, and it's like, oh, they're together, and then the kid goes and starts playing with the piano. They're both looking at Rey playing in the piano, right? And the first memory that comes to Rey is he's in a little suit, right? A kid suit, and looking up to both Rao and Durandal, right? Maybe they race them together.
Can't remember. I think there was something about a piano in either Mu or Rao's memories of where they came from. The dad's house. What I was explaining before is, Rao burnt down the house where the dad was in it. That's how the dad dies.
Oh, his clone.
You keep saying his clone. His dad is the original. Rao is his clone. Rao did not kill his clone by killing his dad, because his dad's not a clone of Rao.
Well, Rao is a clone of Mulafaga's dad, so...
Right, when I'm saying that really Rao killed his dad, and you keep saying his clone, that implies that his dad is a clone of Rao, by the way that the wording works of what you're saying.
Yeah. We had this whole discussion of whether or not if you're a clone, you can call the person that your donor to be.
Oh, you're saying it that way. I thought you were just completely wrong. Well, you are completely wrong still. Well, no, because that's not the conversation we had. I think the conversation we had is your clone your brother?
Yeah.
And I don't know, because it's not even the situation. Sorry, I know we had that conversation. I believe we got off that track because he's not, because he's a clone of the dad, which would be, is Rao Mu's dad? Because are you the same person as the guy you're cloned from?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is, I don't know if we talked about it. I don't think, no.
The answer is no, but it would make Rao and Mu's dad brothers? Twins?
I'm sorry, you said that would make Rao... Sorry, say it again?
That would make Mu's father Rao's brother. Because Rao is a clone.
That's the original topic we got onto the track with, and I don't know that that's true. My problem is that the only thing coming to my head is that 90s movie Multiplicity, where the guy clones himself a bunch of times so he doesn't have to do housework. Which I think they all consider themselves just to be copies of the same guy, and not brothers of that guy. But again, I think this is just ground on tread.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a factor of social normativity and not like... There's not like a genetic thing for this, right? So, it's whatever you would decide to call them. Because I'm pretty sure you could clone yourself and call it your son.
Yes.
Because you're separated by generation. Well, preferably you're not like a grandpa who cloned himself and made a son out of it. That's more of a Ra Zaphon thing. The Bahib Institute, where they're just all clones all the way down.
Anyway, this episode had some interesting stuff. It wasn't trying to recap everything else that was happening.
All the interesting stuff in this episode was literally blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah. And it was more confusing than anything else.
It's upsetting, because there was so much hope. Like, we watched the last episode and we were like, oh, that's it. That's everything we wanted. And it was not everything I wanted. It was 4 to 5 minutes of stuff that I wanted interspersed with stuff I've already seen.
Yeah.
And haven't forgotten.
2 episodes back to back that are really letdowns.
Well, one really dumb episode. The difference between a letdown and a really dumb episode is I've seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a global report from SDF Macross where it's just, and that's when I said to her, and then back to a clip. It's like, what did we run out of time? We had to roll for syndication. We had to put something out. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this episode. So once again, I've been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?